You're watching Business Trends Today exclusively on ASBN.
Growing a business is one thing. Building a company that can continue growing without overwhelming its people, systems, or finances is something entirely different. Joining us today is Sharran Srivatsaa, CEO and managing partner of Acquisition.com, the investment and business education company founded by renowned entrepreneurs Alex and Leila Hormozi. Sharran works with companies to build the operational frameworks that enable them to scale more effectively, helping business owners identify bottlenecks, strengthen their teams, and create sustainable long-term growth. Sharran is also the host of the new digital series Billion Dollar Deals, which reverse engineers some of the biggest business transactions in modern history to uncover the strategies, negotiations, and lessons entrepreneurs can apply to their own businesses. Sharran, welcome to the show. So honored to have you with us today.
Oh, Jim, thank you. I'm super grateful to be here and serve your audience.
Sure. So business owners hear the word scale all the time, but it often means different things to different people. How do you define scaling? Why is it understanding that definition so important before trying to build a bigger business?
Yeah, I heard this quote a long time ago from my dad. He said, the limits of your language are the limits of your world. And if you don't really know what you are defining, you really don't know how to actually do something with it. If you don't observe it, you can't fix it. So to actually define scale, you got to define something else, and that is growth. Well, what is growth? Growth is an intentional improvement of a specific metric. You can't say, I want to grow my business. Well, what does that mean?
Right.
I want to grow my sales. Now you're like, I want to take a sales number and actually grow it. That makes sense. Or I want to grow my profit. I want to take a number and actually grow that.
Yep.
So if growth is intentional improvement of a particular metric, then scale is formulaic growth. Because we say if we can intentionally improve something, then how can you do that on formula? Everyone says, I want to scale my business. Well, if you don't know what that means, you actually don't know if you can actually do it. So
right.
I think a lot about what is growth first, and what do you actually want to grow? And then can you put that growth on autopilot? And that's when we see businesses are like, man, the first 5 years was this slog. I had to grow it with my hands, and I had to work, and I had to knock on doors, and I had to, each car dealer had to make their own sale, and I had to build each facility. But then I got this momentum, and I got scale. Oh, wow, I got formulaic growth. So when we can define scale as formulaic growth, I think everything starts to get easier.
Yeah, for sure. You've developed what you have called the 1-1-1 method as a simple framework for scaling. Walk us through that framework and explain why understanding the difference between scaling cash, scaling people, and scaling money is so critical.
Yeah, I think every single business, when you actually look at it, has the same pattern. And the pattern is they start off being demand constrained, meaning you open a restaurant and you don't have any customers. So you need more demand. And then when they get customers, then they get supply constrained. Because now they're like, man, I got all these customers, but now I'm sold out. And then the third is equity value constrained. They're like, well, wait a minute. I have this restaurant. Maybe I have 2 restaurants. I have this car dealership. Maybe I have 2 car dealerships. I have this auto body shop. Maybe I have 2 auto body shops. But then they get stuck in the demand supply constraint loop. And what I realized, Jim, was that if we can solve each of those constraints systematically, then it starts to get easier. But how do you solve those constraints systematically? So I came up with this formula called 1-1-1, which is, can I come up with one lead source that I can master? Can I come up with one conversion mechanism that I can actually deliver? And then can I convert one delivery mechanism that I can make it all work? For example, let's say we have a business owner that's running a coaching business. Well, if you're an executive coach, you have one way to generate leads. You're like, hey, I'm going to advertise on Facebook, and that is going to generate leads. So I get really good at that advertising mechanism. Well, when I do advertise, where do they come? Well, they book a one-on-one call. Awesome. So I'm going to get really good at delivering on that one-on-one call. That is the second conversion mechanism. And the third is when they actually get in the program, how do I get them success? I have one delivery mechanism. Do I deliver it one-on-one? Do I deliver it in group? Do I deliver it in a live event? So when people get good at figuring out the 1-1-1, it helps, because otherwise, we then go to every social media site. We then go to every lead magnet that we want to download. And then we say, oh, wow, I got 14 more business ideas on the front end to generate marketing ideas. Well, now you have these 14 marketing ideas, and you don't know if all of them work or even some of them work, and you have no mastery on any of them. So the best businesses that I've found have been able to generate one clear lead generation source, one clear conversion mechanism, and one clear delivery channel. And when they do that, then you can add a new marketing source or a new conversion channel, and allows you to like map the flow significantly better. The hard part for an entrepreneur is that when they build a business, they want to do more. They believe that doing more is the answer, but doing more within a constraint is actually the answer.
Yeah, I could see that. So once business owners understand those fundamentals, you recommend looking at traffic, systems, and skills as a way to diagnose what's holding the business back. How does that framework work, and what kinds of bottlenecks does it help uncover?
Whenever I look at a business, I layer on this framework of traffic, systems, and skills. And what that means is that you can figure out where the business has an opportunity or a hole, if you will. So traffic is just how do you fill the funnel with opportunities? Systems is how do you convert those opportunities to actual contracts or money? And skills are what skills do you need in the organization to deliver on those things? So a lot of people say, well, I want to do more marketing. Well, what does more marketing mean? Like, what do you want to do marketing for? Do you want to build a brand? Well, why do you want to build a brand? So the traffic is important because at the end of the day, it actually fills the funnel.
That's right.
And when I look at and you say, well, is this actually a lead problem? So I ask people, he's like, well, I just want more leads. I say, well, assume you got 1,000 leads tomorrow. Can you show me what you would do to convert them?
Right.
And if they show me that system, they're like, it's actually not the traffic that's the problem. It is the system that's the problem. And the second order consequences actually looking at a business are really important. So I'd recommend every entrepreneur to overlay this framework on their business and say, do I have a traffic problem? Meaning, am I actually filling the funnel with opportunities? Do I have a systems problem? Meaning, if I had all these opportunities, can I convert them at scale profitably? Or do I have a skills problem? Actually, can I deliver on the promise that I'm making day to day so that I can get more referrals, get more leads, et cetera? So it's a very easy way to kind of diagnose what the problem is. And Jim, my favorite thing to do is to figure out which one is the problem. So I call it a constraint. So if I just put all my resources, all my effort on solving that one problem, then I've solved it, and then the constraint will show up somewhere else. So the entire job of business is to find the constraint, solve the constraint, find the next constraint, solve the constraint, find the next constraint, and solve the constraint. But if you don't have a framework to figure out where the constraint is, then you're solving multiple constraints simultaneously, and you don't know which one actually is being solved.
Yeah, very, very, very good point. I think so many businesses are in that rut, so to speak. Because all too often you'll hear companies that just say, well, we need to spend more advertising dollars to get more top funnel leads in. When in reality, to your point, you might have a system problem where the team doesn't even know how to handle the leads they're currently getting, right? And we see it all the time where the team or the sales manager would have you be screaming, we need to spend more money, boss, to get more leads in. That's our problem. And I think you nailed it. I mean, that we see
Jim,
that all the time.
I'll give you the greatest story. It's when Elon Musk was interviewing a president for Tesla, and the conversation was going on, he's like, hey, we're not able to sell more of these cars, but we are getting a lot of test drives. And so this guy started to do a secret shopping on all these Tesla test drives.
Sure.
And he realized by talking to these store managers that nobody was calling any of the people that had taken the test drives. So they were just
no follow-up.
Actually getting more test drives,
right.
And they're saying, well, we're not selling anybody more. So they put a pause for 30 days on getting any new leads, and just said, let's just call the people that already did a test drive.
Sure.
Now, that seems really basic, but if it's easy to do, it's also easy not to do sometimes.
That's
and so
right.
It's just when you have an external pair of eyes kind of flag and spotlight something like that, you realize, wow, I actually have a lot of business sitting right in my database right now. Maybe I just need to switch my script. Maybe I just need to change my follow-up. Maybe I just need to send them a text message. Maybe
That's
I just
right.
need to say, hey, are you still interested in buying a Tesla? Are you still interested in buying a Chevy? Are you still interested in buying a Dodge? Like, it's so simple to do. Sometimes we realize that we want to overcomplicate it in the front end of the funnel.
That's right. So true. Another thing you'll find too in auto sales is sometimes in many sales where somebody will say, well, at the end of the day, you were with these people for 2-3 hours. You gave a full demonstration. They love the product. They love the company. They love you. How come they didn't buy? Well, I don't know why they didn't buy. Well, did you ever ask them to buy? Well, no, I never asked them to buy. Why not? Why didn't you say, will you buy the product from me today? Or what would prevent you from buying the product from me today? And it just seems to be this conversation that just kind of peters out and ends. Nobody ever asked them. So again, that's a systems problem. That's not a lead problem or a marketing problem, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I think often about this, which I think most business owners would really like to know, is whenever I look at a business, because we we invest in companies, and I look at these businesses all the time saying, hey, how do I, what can I do or can we do as a business to drive insane value to this opportunity? And there's 3 hard problems that every entrepreneur needs to solve. And the hardest problems are, how do I get people in the front door? How do I get them to an aha moment as soon as possible?
Sure.
And how do I deliver core product value as fast as possible? Well, what does that mean? For example, if you take Starbucks, how do I get people in the front door? Well, their entire business model is being on every street corner. You go to Seattle or Portland, they're in all 4 corners in an intersection sometimes.
That's right. That's right.
How do I get people an aha moment as soon as possible? Well, the aha moment is, hey, I get to customize my single latte the way I want it, the way Jim doesn't want it, meaning I get a grande, non-fat, extra hot, no whip caramel macchiato with nutmeg on top, right? Like it's so specific sometimes, right. And that's the aha moment as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And then the third is, how do I deliver core product value as often as possible? And that is, you have a Starbucks everywhere you drive. Second, you have the app where you can just buy with your app dollars. And third, you can order the coffee and you can pick it up on the way, so you feel this core product value being added to your day every single day. And the crazy part is, or you're taking Netflix, right? How do I get people in the front door? You get a free trial.
Yeah.
How do I get them to an aha moment as soon as possible? Well, as soon as you sit down and watch one show, they've got the cliffhanger, so you watch multiple shows.
Yep.
And so you get and then how do I deliver core product value as often as possible? Well, every time you log in, it gives you more recommendations. So it's no different in the automotive industry as well. So how do I get people in the front door? Like, what kind of offers are you running? How do I get them to an aha moment as soon as possible? Can I get them in the car? Can I get them to drive? Can I get them to enjoy the features instantly? And how do I deliver core product value as often as possible? Now, if they're in the showroom, if they're in the dealership, if they've left in the follow-up, and after they've bought in the service, how do I get core product value delivered? If you could just answer those 3 difficult questions, you realize where the break is in any business that you can serve.
Another concept that you teach is growth by subtraction, using what you call the Don Shula touchdown method. What does that principle mean, and why can removing the wrong things often create more growth than simply adding more?
Don Shula is the greatest coach in football history, and people don't realize why. There's no coach that has ever had a record that has been blatantly 17-0.
Yeah.
He's the only one in the history of the NFL.
That's right.
There's a reason for that. I had a friend who actually played for Don Shula, and I asked him, what did Don Shula do that was so different from the other coaches that you played for? And he said, every play that was designed to end up in a touchdown. And that blew my mind, because we all think that, hey, we're going to run this play and get 5 yards. We're going to run this play and we're going to get 2 yards. We're going to run this play and maybe we'll get some running yards. We're going to run this play and we're going to try to get a pull route. But every single play that Don Shula designed was to get a touchdown.
Interesting.
And his main idea there was, the way you get a touchdown is to remove a lot of the friction, because everyone else is assuming this complex route. Can I just assume that there is a 1 or 2 step process here, and that if it all works well, this will end up in a touchdown?
Yeah.
And there's some really elegant greatness to that, where you're thinking, if I have to run a play and every play needs to arrive at a touchdown, I can't have 14 complex things that are happening.
That's right.
I only need to have 1 or 2 things, and they need to happen in perfection. There's a great quote by the founder of Twitter, Jack Dorsey. He says, you got to get every detail perfect, but then limit the number of details.
Good point.
Very good point.
And
I love the dichotomy there, because you're just saying, well, what are the fewest number of things I should work on?
Yeah.
And then I just need to have extreme perfection in those things. And I think as entrepreneurs, we want to just do more. We are the very fact that we are interested and curious people naturally makes us driven. And since we are driven, we want to do more, we want to be more, we want to give more, we want to achieve more. And that shows up as more chaos in the business. Most businesses don't die out of starvation, they die out of indigestion.
Yeah.
They do more. And so if we can do some subtraction, we can think, if Don Shula was designing this play, how simple would this play be to get me to a touchdown? It's easier to diagnose the play later.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. In fact, I was a huge Dolphin fan because I was a kid when they won that incredible undefeated team in 1972, which was, has never been done since. So it's very interesting when you said that about Don Shula. You think, well, why wouldn't they make every play, going for a touchdown, right? Rather than let's get it, another 5 yards down or another 30 yards down. Yeah, but if it ends up right, let's go for the touchdown. I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that goes to Don Shula's method of saying, I want greatness. Greatness is a choice.
Yeah.
But you can't have greatness without simplicity. Well, when Steve Jobs came back to Apple, there was 300 SKUs of products they were building. And the first thing he did was say, we're going to make 4 things.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of courage to be able to do something like that. And internally, we often talk about, like, my favorite quote when I talk to all entrepreneurs is, hey, explain to me why the status quo is not acceptable. Because it's fine. Like, what we're doing is fine. You just have to do more of what we are doing, not do more of what you don't, what other things that you want to. Just because you saw a new strategy, you shouldn't have to do that. There's a lot of kind of because of what social media does is it's created so many opportunities for creativity and so many opportunities for idea generation.
No
AI has created so many opportunities for just generative ideas that now puts more work on us to go do more things.
That's right.
And,
that's right.
I really believe that to do great things, we must do fewer things.
That's right. That's right. And I appreciate all the time you've given me. You also talk about building a memo culture. What is it, and why do you believe it's one of the most effective ways for leaders to make better decisions?
Nothing great ever happened without it being written down. Take the Constitution, take the Declaration of Independence, take the Magna Carta. Every single thing that was actually great, but we consider great, has been written down. Even the greatest speeches were written down first. And so I believe that we don't think often about how an idea gets communicated, and we have great ideas deserve great packaging. So internally, we have something called a memo culture, which is if there is no memo, there is no meeting. Our job on the meeting is not to discuss an idea. Our job on the meeting is to discuss a memo. Yeah. Someone actually stopped and organized their thoughts so that I could process the organization of their thoughts with them. I could find the holes with them. I could agree upon things with them. What most people do is they just say, hey, let me get on a call with you. Can you jump on can I pick your brain for 20 minutes? Can you have a cup of coffee for this time? Can I send you a deck? And like, that's interesting, but no one has ever taken the time to write down and organize their thoughts. And there is just, given the fact that when we switch to this memo culture, it has forced every single person in our business to organize their thoughts. Jim, recently we had a leadership consultant come into our business just to give us some third-party perspective and saying, hey, based on the things that you know and the other companies have consulted with, give us some perspective on how we're running our business. And he made a presentation to the executive team after it was all done. And his last slide said, the single reason why your business has grown and has been successful is because you write all your ideas down.
Wow. Okay.
And he just said, the way I caught up was I didn't even need to talk to all the people. I just read your last 30 memos. So when we have a new executive come on board, I was like, most people think that you need 30, 60, 90 days to ramp a person up. We can ramp a person up in 2 days. Because if you came on as the president of our business, I'd say, Jim, here are the 15 issues that we're talking about. Here are the 15 memos related to those issues. You're caught up instantly.
Yeah.
And
I love it. It's a great idea.
This idea for one big reason, which is I had a chance to work with the U.S. Navy. And when I first got there and I got my security clearance, the admiral told me, he said, hey, welcome to the Navy. Here are the AARs, which is the after action reports. I want you to read this entire box of after action reports because now we're going to use this to help the tier 1 operators. I didn't know what an after action report was, but that's actually what the military does after a deployment happens. And so I was just able to read a box of after action reports and be completely up to speed with what was going on. I think that's exactly what a memo culture does. It allows you to organize your thoughts in a written way to then transfer the ideas more thoughtfully.
Sure. It makes perfect sense. And it's a great practice for sure. Attracting and retaining great employees remains one of the biggest challenges facing business owners today. As you know, you encourage leaders to ask their teams 2 simple questions, which I love this. What's the one thing that if I took it away, you wouldn't want to work here anymore? And the second one is, what's the one thing I should add that would make you stay forever? Talk to me about that.
I really believe that two things are true when it comes to talent, especially. And number one is almost all of them are not motivated by money. There's non-financial reasons as to why people want to work, and because they feel a professional pride in wanting to contribute.
Yes.
So if it's not that, because they're not even taking the role if the economics are not in line. So if it's not that, what else is it? So I really believe that most people in the world are single issue voters. There's one thing that they wish was either different, that could be added or that could be taken away, that would completely change their experience with an organization.
Yeah.
And as leaders, if we just ask that question over and over and over again, every time on the floors, every time I'm talking to somebody, I always say, hey, if you can add just one thing, what would it be? If you could change this one thing, what would it be? It forces them to say, wow, I can focus on the single issue that I have been really annoyed by or really unhappy with. Even in our exit interviews, when people leave or they're considering leaving, I ask them, well, what about this does not work for you? He's like, well, I have to take care of my son between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon. Sure. I go, you just want to work from home on Thursdays? That's all you want? Like, done. And so that single issue is so important sometimes on the micro for people, but on the macro, it is even more important because you'll start to see a pattern of what people tell you on what they want to add and what they want to subtract. And when you start to see a pattern of what they want to add and what they want to subtract, it becomes really easy for the organization to figure out whether I need to increase the 401k match or whether I need to just get them more snacks in the break room. It's really, really simple, and we overthink that process. So asking people exactly what they want on what is one thing that I need to add or one thing that I need to take away, if they do that, they actually forcefully have a single issue vote, which allows them to have a better experience.
I love it. A single issue vote. No, but it makes so much sense. I mean, when you're describing that, it really does, because often when you talk to employees, it's not, I hate the whole company, I hate my manager, I hate the compensation. You're right. It always boils down to one or two things that's getting to them, right? And that often puts them in the position or in the market for a position with another company. And you're like, why did we lose that individual over some stupid, minute thing that we could have easily changed?
Yeah,
right?
I will say there's one thing that could be a benefit for leaders. So if you're the leader of a business, the single most important thing that you can do is to define what good looks like.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, if you have a team member for some reason that you think is not performing well, the easiest way is to just take responsibility for why they're not performing well. Because we know that they want to be there. We know that they want the money. We know that they want career progression. We know you should have just assumed that they want to do a good job.
Yeah.
But if they want to do a good job and they're not doing it for some reason, why? Yeah. And I believe that if we take responsibility, they just don't know what good looks like. Therefore, they don't do that thing. And we have to define what good looks like. So if I see something off sometimes, I will just say, hey, Johnny, I love your work ethic related to this. Writing this memo, it feels like I have not shown you what good looks like in this organization. Would you be open to me showing you 3 different memos that I think are the gold standard? And if we could write this in this model going forward, it would be amazing for both of us.
I love it.
I am now defining what good looks like. Now Johnny knows exactly what to do. Otherwise, he's like, man, my manager never told me. Right?
We see it all the time, right?
Right. And I think the core part of that is for us, if we just flip the mindset to us taking responsibility for defining what good looks like, not only will the people know that they are doing a good job, because they don't have a diagnostic on whether they're doing a good job either.
That's right. And you just made a huge fan out of Johnny, just that you explained that to them, right? And there's a trust factor there that you've just built upon that no one can break.
And in the future, Jim, whatever I want Johnny to do differently, I can just say, hey, Johnny, just like that memo, you did such an amazing job with that. I have a different idea on how you actually use the script with the client. Is it okay if I share that with you? Now Johnny knows, what good looks like. And Johnny's like, wait a minute. I know that I'm going to keep doing my job. And if I don't do something well, Sharran will just tell me.
That's exactly
that creates
right.
It creates so much kind of mutual trust, and they stop looking outside for other roles. They want to do more of their job well. So I think the gold standard is for leaders to just define what good looks like.
I agree. Sharran Srivatsaa, CEO and Managing Partner of Acquisition.com. Thank you so much for being part of the show today. Very much appreciated. I know that our viewers are going to get so much out of your visit with us, so thanks so much. And if you'd like to learn more, be sure to check out Sharran's new digital series, $1 Billion Deals. In the premiere episode, Sharran breaks down Lionel Messi's $1 billion decision and the strategy behind one of sports' biggest deals, offering practical lessons entrepreneurs can use to make smarter business and financial decisions. You can watch it exclusively on Sharran's YouTube channel.
We're taught to work hard, go to school, save what you can, and wait for retirement. But the world is changing fast. And at this rate, the advice we have been given is old news by tomorrow. Meanwhile, the biggest deals on the planet keep happening. The media tells us one story, but history tells us another. Billions of dollars keeps changing hands over and over. So while the headlines cover what happens, you never actually see how it works. So what if I told you there are patterns? Patterns that the wealthy use every day that you and I can use too. It's those same patterns that I realized were hiding in plain sight. I saw those patterns firsthand when I worked at Goldman Sachs, and I actually used them when I built 2 billion-dollar businesses. And the truth is, people that are building wealth are using them too. The deals happening in the world right now contain the lessons we weren't taught, the tactics that teach you how to use your money, and the behaviors that can make you wealthy. I'm Sharran Srivatsaa. Welcome to $1 Billion Deals.
Thanks for watching Business Trends Today exclusively on ASBN.